So this is Donald Trump as he's starting to distance himself from the Epstein files and blame them on James Comey now is responsible.
She's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, these files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama. They were made up by the Biden. We went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it. But she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release.
Yeah, he's speaking there of Pam Bondi. Now, given that he's trying among all the other, limbic system knee-jerk reactions to people's names that he's trying to get out of his base with Obama and Clinton, who 5 minutes ago he was talking about Clinton being on that plane 27 or 28 times. But all of a sudden the Clintons are responsible. So it was a little out of joint that Comey's daughter was in charge of the Diddy case, in charge of the Epstein case, in charge of the Ghislaine Maxwell case, and now she's out. Manhattan prosecutor handled Epstein cases is fired. Now, you can really see how difficult this whole situation is for the griftosphere by the way that Ingram talks about this. She really doesn't know what to say.
This has been a bad few-week stretch for Jim Comey's daughter. She was just fired by the DOJ. She's known for a couple things. She just lost the Diddy case, of course, and she was Jeffrey Epstein's prosecutor. So the daughter of the former FBI director, James Comey, she's a veteran federal prosecutor, worked on these cases. Maureen Comey is fired. So this is sending tongues a-wagging as the internet personalities and others, and this show has asked questions about what happened with the files, why did we overpromise and underdeliver? But the president has made his opinion on this very clear over the last couple of days. We're going to continue to cover this. And
yeah, that's I just don't even know how to talk about this. Now, in terms of the perception, I got to say, I hadn't really given this all that much thought until this broke. The Diddy case, I do think that there was some incompetence there because when you look at the kind of text messages they were able to dig up of Cassie Ventura seemingly enthusiastically planning freak-offs and audio, which in discovery they had to have known this evidence was there before they brought these, before they went ahead with this trial. Of her threatening the life of a male escort. Common sense, that was not going to clear a beyond a reasonable doubt standard. It just wasn't.
Right.
Not with that evidence out there. So, yeah, I think there's some incompetence in bringing that. Can't really say she was incompetent on Epstein, given that he was deleted from his jail cell under mysterious circumstances, and Maxwell got 20 years. So,
right.
Her track record is not really terrible. I would imagine not worse than any other federal prosecutor, maybe better than some. I do think the Diddy case was a big fumble. Of course, we have thoughts about why that might have been. I'll be very interested to see. Whitney says she has a new series about all that coming out. Maureen Comey, a Manhattan federal prosecutor who worked on the criminal cases against Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, was abruptly fired on Wednesday by the Trump administration, according to 6 people with knowledge of the matter. Though the reason for Ms. Comey's firing was not immediately clear, her dismissal immediately raised questions given her involvement in the Epstein-related cases that have roiled the White House in recent days. Ms. Comey was informed of her firing in a letter that cited Article 2 of the Constitution, which describes the powers of the president according to 2 of the people. Ms. Comey is also the daughter of the former FBI director James Comey, an adversary of President Trump, who has recently been under scrutiny by federal law enforcement authorities. For more than a week, Mr. Trump and his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, have been seeking to quell outrage from many of the president's supporters over the administration's reluctance to release files related to Mr. Epstein's sex trafficking case. Since a memo was released by the Justice Department earlier this month affirming that no list of Mr. Epstein's clients existed, I would probably use the word asserting rather than affirming, and that he had in fact deleted himself, the issue has sowed significant dissent and infighting among Mr. Trump's base. So case in point. All right, so this is pretty funny. This is so now they're going to try to jump on this as part of their cope, and
Right.
this is why I say the griftosphere is going to move on before rank and file MAGA people do, because they have a vested financial interest in moving on.
He drained the swamp.
Yeah, well, they're also trying to frame this as see,
Right.
which just absolutely there's no logic to this. See, he's getting rid of her because she's blocking.
Right. She fucked the case up, and so
Epstein
now she's out. Right.
Yeah, right.
Pathetic.
Exactly. Nick Sorter breaking. The Trump DOJ has fired Maureen Comey, daughter of disgraced FBI Director James Comey. Finally, Maureen was a prosecutor for the Southern District of New York and played a key role in prosecuting Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Diddy. None of that fucking means anything, but he's hoping that his half-right audience will bite on that. This one's really pathetic. Did you read that Maureen Comey edited the Epstein files? Yeah, we knew. We got you, POTUS. With a picture of Bongino and Cash Patel. Yeah, we got you, POTUS. We're getting rid of the deep state actors who altered the files that you can't release now because they altered them under the last administration and forgot to release them to politically devastate you and make sure you didn't get elected. They forgot to do that part, though.
Yeah.
Gunther Eagleman, I keep saying, if you know this guy, go knock on his door, check on him. I'm worried about him. I'm really worried about this guy. He's watching his whole grift go up in smoke, and he's not taking it well. The meltdown on CNN over Maureen Comey's firing is awesome. Excellent decision to get her the hell out of SDNY. Now 3 hours after this, I'm sure he tweeted some shit like, the files have to be released.
Right.
No. Yeah. He really doesn't know what the fuck to do.
Why fire her now?
Can we talk about Maureen Comey for a second? Maureen Comey was for 10 years an extremely successful, dedicated, and ethical assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York. She was a high-ranking person in that office. She became the head of the Public Integrity Unit. She supervised the case against Robert Menendez, the corrupt senator. She tried Ghislaine Maxwell. She tried P. Diddy. The idea that she got fired is a disgrace to the Justice Department. And Jay Clayton, supposedly the U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York, ought to resign himself in disgrace because he allowed this to go on. This is an outrage that this woman got fired.
Let me add to what you're saying. According to a source,
We're so back.
Yeah, I mean, again, I can't speak to her 10 years there. I don't know in terms of these particular cases. Yeah, I think the Diddy case was dumb given the evidence that the defense was able to produce. It was obvious that was not going to clear a beyond a reasonable doubt standard. The other ones, I mean, that's a red herring. The one was not there to prosecute, and the other one, she got the conviction. Firing Maureen Comey only makes Trump look even more guilty in the Epstein-Trump cover-up. The MAGA cult is finally having their day of reckoning for their willful ignorance in being duped by a pedo that told them he was going to stop pedos. Where's the lie? I'm sorry. Where's the lie? We've showed this video many times now of Donald Trump macking on his own children. I'm sorry, man. All that stuff was out there. Why you thought this guy was going to bring down a guy with similar tastes? I mean, Epstein, I don't think he had any kids. I don't think he had any kids. You could say Trump was worse.
No, Trump was clearly friends with him. I mean, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he's friendly with him too.
I mean,
yeah.
come on. The parasite class, who knows? Maybe firing Maureen Comey was just a coincidence. Well, I mean, it's hard to say really what it means. It seems like if you look at the way the griftosphere is trying to spin it, they fired her as some kind of attempt to put it on her. What's happening with the Epstein files? See, it was her that altered it. So we would love to have released them, but Maureen Comey and her corrupt father got a hold of those files before we got the chance to find the evildoers. That's the only logic that I could see.
Yeah, well, no, this is what I will maybe brand the foot soldier strategy. Remember when the Democrats were trying to force Biden out of the race, and I said first what they're going to do is they're going to have chirpings in the media about how sources are really panicking about him. Then they're going to have the really low-level Democrats, right, who no one really gives a shit about, come out and say he must drop out, right? Those are the foot soldiers. Then if that doesn't work, then we're going to have higher-level people say he has to drop out. And ultimately it took, Schumer and Pelosi publicly saying it and Obama, privately telling them, laying down the law. Same thing here. They're going to try and handle this from the bottom on up. All right, let's see how much mileage can we get out of firing Maureen Comey, right? How much goodwill does that win us back? If that does the trick, then great. It's not going to do the trick, obviously. So then they're going to have to take it to another level, to another level, to another level until they can maybe get this thing under control. The problem is, of course, in this situation, and it was a similar problem that the Democrats had, which is why it took as long as it did to get him out of the race. The guy at the top is an obstacle to all of this because he clearly does not want the list put out because it seems now by everyone's admission he's on it. Even Megyn Kelly is saying, yeah, he's on it. He's not on it in a way that implicates him in wrongdoing. Okay, sure, fine. Go ahead, run with that. See how well that ages. See how well history judges you for that. But 99% on Polymarket say he's in the file. So this is the problem. They're trying to handle this with minimal disruption. And so getting rid of Comey, that's minimal disruption for now. Hoping it'll work. It's not going to work. This is just like sending the foot soldiers after the Ninja Turtles. They get rid of them easy. Yeah, they cut through them like butter. And then it takes the final boss to maybe fight them. That's what this is. That's the metaphor. It's like you're just wasting time throwing useless shit out to see if it works. It's clearly not going to. It's clearly not going to. Nick Sorter could tweet about it. What has that done to quiet things down? Nothing. But of course they're going to try and say, yeah, it's her fault that this was a disaster. And so we made her pay the price. No, we couldn't get you the files, but we sure made the woman whose fault it was pay. Nonsense. But that's what I think was motivating this.
Listen, Ron, this isn't going away. Remember we talked about you cutting some holes in that chain link fence and letting some of those alligators in?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
I think we're going to have to go with that.
Right, the alligators. That's what they're going to have to turn to. Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, they are going to have a very difficult time getting people to turn the page from this. No doubt about it.
Please clap.